وسع ربي كل شيء علما أفلا تتذكرون.
But what I like to do is Tafsir ibn Kathir becomes my source, and whatever I find that's not in Tafsir ibn Kathir, I write it in Tafsir ibn Kathir. And I know other brothers who do Qurtubi's Tafsir. They take Qurtubi's Tafsir, and the reason why they take Qurtubi's Tafsir is because Qurtubi's Tafsir is based on ahkam, jurisprudent rulings. And when the book is based on jurisprudent rulings, it means it has application straight away. So it's less theories, more practicality. And a lot of people, they need it for ahkam, halal and haram, do's and don'ts. And his kitab, يعني لا يستغني منه المنتهي ويحتاج إليه المبتدي. The person who's a mashallah, who's reached that, cannot be without Tafsir al-Qurtubi. And also, whoever is a beginner is in need of it to learn and to work towards this beautiful piece of work written by Qurtubi rahimahullah. So what some people do is they take Qurtubi's tafsir and they use that as the main tafsir that they rely on, and anything that they find that's not in Tafsir al-Qurtubina, they add it on the side of their book. They write whatever they come across. So it's however you like it. And I know somebody who does Baghawi, Tafsir al-Imam al-Baghawi. But remember the Baghawi and the people who do Qurtubi are in a way, يعني, they have their miza, which is what? Miza means they've got something good about them. And that is, the people who rely on Tafsir al-Qurtubi and al-Baghawi, because they're both summarized books, the chances that you're going to come across more things that are said that are not in your book, your tafsir book, is more. The chances are very high. Versus the person who uses a bigger book, the chance of him seeing things that he has not seen the chances are very low. And this brings me to a point, which is when a student of knowledge is buying books, it's always important to do tarkiz on the ummahat. What does it mean, ummahat? The most important books of the field, you rely on those books. And every field has a book like that. Whether it be nahu, whether it be sarf, whether it be fiqh, whether it be hadith. There's always books which are called ummahat. They are called ummul bab. They are called al-aslu fil fan. Those are the books that you take, you rely on that one, and everything else is on that. And guess what it helps you with? Not buying unnecessary books. Because some books you may not read for years means you don't need this book. You need to get it out of your library. So you end up wasting your money and you end up destroying your family's house, in the sense everywhere there's books. So what should the Talib al-Ilm do? Take a tafsir book like Tafsir ibn Kathir, AMAU al-Baghawi, or Qurtubi, and Ibn Jarir is very big. And the reason it's so big, it indulges into issues of chain of narrations, and sometimes students of knowledge, this is a bit too much for them. Like in Qurtubi, it's ajib the way he authored this kitab. He talks about masail fiqhiyya ajiba jiddan. Sometimes it doesn't even come to your mind. It doesn't even come to your mind the way he does istinbat. It's a kitab ajib haqiqatan. So Ibn Kathir is bigger than Ibn Kathir is bigger than Baghawi's tafsir. Baghawi is a bit smaller. So if you go down and you choose Baghawi, then of course you're going to have to write a lot of things that are in Tafsir ibn Kathir, and also in Tafsir al-Qurtubi, and also in Tafsir ibn Jarir al-Tabari, and the Tafsir of other books. So I would say don't go below Tafsir ibn Kathir. Okay, and it was mentioned that Sheikh Abdul Aziz ibn Baz rahimahullah ta'ala, whenever he would travel, rahimahullah ta'ala, the books that he wouldn't leave behind, there were books that he stuck to. From the books I read in his biography was Tafsir ibn Kathir, Kitab Fath al-Majid by Abdurrahman ibn Hassan ibn Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahab. He has a kitab on, he done a sharh on Kitab al-Tawheed. So the Fath al-Majid is the best sharh for it. So Fath al-Majid and Subul al-Salam, which is the sharh of Bulugh al-Maram, Sheikh Abdul Aziz ibn Baz. These books were the ones that were kept around him. Whenever he would travel, the reader would read from these books a lot. That's why you find when Sheikh Abdul Aziz ibn Baz sometimes talks and gives a fatwa on an mas'ala, and he brings an ayah and then he comments on the ayah, because it's been read so much on him sometimes you see that he's actually quoting word for word Tafsir Ibn Kathir, word for word. And this is, I heard, subhanallah, Shaykh Abdul Razak, and this is me going off board, but min bab al-fa'ida, Shaykh Abdul Razak al-Afifi, rahimahullah. Shaykh Abdul Razak al-Afifi was alim. He was naib of Shaykh Ibn Baz. He was his vice. Okay? This man was a giant in knowledge. And he had a policy not to store books. Actually, he mentioned, rahimahullah ta'ala, when it's a tarifa that was mentioned about him, they said that they told him about what the Tatar did. Or he read, or it was somebody read on him what Tatar did, the Mongols, when they entered Baghdad and they took all the books and they threw into the ocean, and the ink became, the ocean became black because of the ink. He said, Shaykh Abdul Razak al-Afifi said, if only they added these ones to it as well. And his policy was, rahimahullah ta'ala, he took the main usul and he focused on those books versus reading a lot. He focused on the ummahat. And subhanallah, I met and was with some of the students of Shaykh Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymin, and they told me that Shaykh ibn Uthaymin, I saw the picture after that he had a library, subhanallah. One of my rooms, my small room, library would be bigger than Shaykh ibn Uthaymin's library. And he is what? Al-Allama. Why? Because every field he had one or two books within that field he focused on. And there was no need for other books. This book suffices you. If you focus on it, then so much other things. So it's important to understand the books, identify them, and buy them and get them, and make sure that this is the book you go over. Once you finish it, go over it again. When you finish it, go over it again. When you finish it, go over it again. And keep going over it again. Once that book has settled in your head, then you go and move on to another book, which within the field. For what reason? So that the book that you have, you can put the fawaid on there. And every science, I've mentioned a book that should be like that for you. That you always go over and over and over and over. And subhanAllah, sometimes as you're reading a book, you think, subhanAllah, this is a fa'ida latifa. I can add this fa'ida to this book of mine that I focus on. And you can put the benefit on that book. Any book that you read, and when you finish it, you're like, it was good, but I've heard all of this, is a book you should take out of your library. It's not a book that should be in your library. The book that's in your library is the book that's right next to you. You're like, I need this book. You put it next to your bed and your pillow, and you're like, oh, this one, I need it so much. It's so important to me. Ala kullin, the other book that focuses on tafsir al-Qur'an bis sunnah is Suyuti's kitab. The kitab is called Ad-Durr. Ad-Durr means pearls. Durr al-Manthur. It's pearls that are scattered. That's what he called it, Jalaluddin al-Suyuti, rahimahullah ta'ala. So those books are basically books which you could go to, and that's what we're doing that for our tulab, that they look at these books and get them, and inshallah ta'ala read those books in tafsir so that they can find more on this issue.